what's also crazy in this conversation we've had of OGs? We've not mentioned one woman.
This is true.
Culturally, this is the reality in Nigeria. Is it that the women are not good enough, did not make enough impact? Is there something in the culture that just doesn't recognize females as strongly as the men? They just need to work harder? Like, I'm so curious. So, hi everybody, welcome back to the Stormcast. Folu Storms here. Thank you so much for coming back. Let me just apologize. The Stormcast has been missing for like a couple of months now. And I wish I could give you a very concrete reason other than burnout and tiredness. And I don't know why, considering it wasn't that many episodes, but I do so many other things in my life that happened. But thank you for bearing with me. I do enjoy having conversations, and I do enjoy kind of sharing my random musings with you guys. So I thought I would continue that, and this time with a twist. It's a new set, new space, and now I have a guest. IB Abidoye in the building. How you doing, IB?
Hello.
Thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Now, for those who don't know, IB is the executive vice president at Chalk City Music. It's the foremost music company in Nigeria, essentially. And she's also the founder of Finale Initiative, which is this brilliant initiative that supports women producers and tries to grow that within the entertainment ecosystem and the music ecosystem. And I believe that IB is one of the most influential voices we have when it comes to discussing anything Afrobeats, anything music. IB's here. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. And I thought this would be a good time to sort of kick off the Stormcast again, which is what this little musing podcast is, because we are at the end of the month in Nigeria, or the end of the year in Nigeria. So the Ember months.
Yes.
Lots of artistic endeavors happening. Lots of whether it's art fairs, we have film festivals going on. We have Dirty December that they said they have done task force for. Do you have a Dirty December task force?
No, I don't. But funny enough, actually, we do have our own strategies. Like record labels kind of need to have strategies. For December.
But I actually saw the minister for arts and culture.
Yeah.
We need to get involved in that. And I just wondered, the conversations start coming on again in how are we as a nation, as a people, as an economy sort of benefiting from this move? Because culturally, like, we're sort of exporting ourselves. Would you say we're exporting ourselves really well at the moment?
I think so. Well is questionable, but we are exporting ourselves.
Okay, why is the well questionable?
Because there's still a lot of conversation around IP rights, how they're being protected systematically.
Okay.
How companies are being acquired or not. There's still a lot of conversations around policies for IP rights locally.
Okay.
I was watching something the other day where man was talking about the original idea for, I think it was Black Panther, that was based on some.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that? That was going around on social media.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm gonna have to insert some.
And it's that.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, we're kind of cool right now. Everyone's excited. So there's energy around what is African. But then is there enough education around how that should be managed and how that should be exported? But it is being exported.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, what IB is referring to is a few months ago, it sort of popped up. There was a conversation, funny enough, by an Oyinbo guy.
Recently, the West has been stealing intellectual property from Nollywood, and Nigeria is just letting it happen. And unfortunately, it involves Black Panther. Have you seen the series Eyes of Wakanda? It's a fantastic miniseries involving the Black Panther universe. The only problem is that it's essentially a facsimile of last year's Nigerian graphic novel called The Crusaders, where Disney just replaced the search for historical African artifacts with the search for vibranium.
Yeah,
He brought it up on Instagram.
It was fascinating to me.
That's his own problem.
Yeah.
Where he said, there's a Nigerian comic book author that had this set of comics that basically had been in conversation with Disney.
Yes.
Allegedly. Had been in conversation with Disney. They eventually ended the conversation, but the basis of Black Panther is sort of allegedly based on this man's comic books. And we're like, well, did he get any cut from it? But we don't know. But the thing is, we don't know the details of whatever really happened.
But what he said that was fascinating to me is that he reached out to the man and tried to make inquiries about was there any form of settlement or were involved in the final output or whatever. And the response was very much like next time. Or like, everything's good. Like how we are. Sometimes we're just like,
But could it be that he has been paid for some things and just doesn't want to enter that conversation in public space?
It is possible.
Because we also don't like to show when we have hammered
that is true.
A certain type of hammering.
Yes. It's possible, but it's also not it's also plausible that didn't happen because we do see it.
Yeah.
Where people are just very happy to be in the mix. And they're not and I think also, to be fair, a lot of it could also be around how we've been indoctrinated, or how our experience with the justice system, whether it's effective or not, and that has a halo effect on what we want to fight. So there's this idea of like, do I want to fight this? It's just going to be tiring. Do I even have the budget for it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to take on Disney. You know what? It's fine. I'm just going to keep doing. So you're right. It's possible that he was given something, but it's also possible that nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Because there's a lot that kind of goes around taking on Disney. That's a big one.
So
if this is true.
All this allegedly, please, I certainly don't have money for lawsuits for anybody, but I'm curious, and I think it's nice that you sort of mentioned this tiredness thing, because my question is like, are you tired
of
the whole entertainment? No, this is a real question.
Yeah,
the whole entertainment space, the sort of pushing for rights, because like this, because this story we're talking about now, right? You have one man who is none of his business. He's just gisting. It's just for him on the internet. Tries to help out the Nigerian guy to say, come on. Are you gonna get something? And they're like, we'll leave it to God. Do you feel that you deal with that a lot when you're dealing with artists, when you're dealing with music and trying to get people what they deserve? And I'm going to point it at female producers, for example. Most people, if I ask most people who are watching, and guys, just let me know, like drop in the comments or whatever, name one Nigerian female producer.
Don't Google.
No Google. Just, do you know, yes or no? If you can think of one, put it down there. And I bring that up because I wonder, I'm sure that you can name quite a few because you've kind of made that a part of your mission to not just seek out, but to also like platform these women. Do you get tired of trying to help people out? And do you feel like they also are interested in getting what they deserve? Do they feel they deserve this recognition? Is there a space for females, or is it a case of, women are doing too much right now? Everything is, we have to sort of pamper women and we have to create, but if they're good enough, they'll just be known. I mean,
that came up in the conversation.
That came up in a panel discussion we had, for the Nala initiative.
So I think that what's been happening around women has been really amazing. I think we've empowered a lot of women, and there's more that can be done. But I think generally, I wouldn't even just limit it to women. I think Nigerians need to be empowered.
Do we want to be? Is it too tiring to fight for empowerment?
So you almost have to be prepared. Sometimes I don't remember the quote right now, but there are people sometimes that lay the foundation that other people benefit from. Okay. You have to be ready to be the person laying the foundation, and you may not benefit from it. That's generally how things work in terms of like growth. Sometimes you're blessed to be a part of that conversation. Sometimes they just remember the works that you do, but you actually don't benefit. It's like how we think about Afrobeats. There are people that like are OGs that really sustained the industry for a long time and created a lot of momentum that people in Nigeria and outside Nigeria loved the music enough for other people to recognize and to see. But those people are not necessarily getting the type of money that's flowing into the industry now, right?
At the moment. I
think it's the same thing. Like, yes, there are moments where you're kind of tired and you hit certain brick walls. But I think, at least for me, let me speak for myself.
Okay.
It's passion driven a lot of times. And I always struggle with that thing of like, when do you stop looking from a passion perspective? Because, at the end of the day, passion only goes a long way.
His passion gonna feed
Exactly.
you.
Yeah. So, and then, you also have to think about it from the perspective of there's so many things that we need to learn. Like even I am constantly learning a lot of times from experience than like I've been taught and I know.
Okay.
A lot of it is like you stumble on it or like you learn from mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think
It's trial and error.
it's trial and error a lot in this space. So there's a lot of learning that's happening that I think for me makes it in a weird way exciting. It doesn't get boring.
Yeah.
Because there's always something new
That's
happening
coming up.
Yeah. But sometimes those are expensive things. I don't know if I'm tired. There's so much to do.
Okay,
really,
well,
when you think about the ecosystem, there's really so much
that's
to do.
encouraging because I will put my hand up and say sometimes I'm tired. I feel sometimes like,
Do people want to learn?
do
these things?
people want to learn? Do they?
Yeah.
Do people actually want better? And I have so many questions. Aibee, there's so much to
They
just
do.
about today. You say this.
I think people want better. I just think that they are faced with realities of being and living in Nigeria. Sometimes it's just like you just need to eat. It's not that you don't see that the work can be better. And you find that those are the people that go to YouTube if they can't go to a course or whatever, and they try to learn or they try to, you know what I mean? Like they try to kind of pick up on some additional things. How do I make the lighting better, or how do I, and they pick up those courses. But in their day to day, sometimes it's just difficult.
It's hectic.
It's hectic,
It's hectic, and
I think that especially in the creative space, a lot of people are realizing that they can go global, and because of that, they are trying to find ways to adopt best practices so that when the opportunity comes, they are able to hold on to those opportunities. But one thing I love about Nigerians, whether they can do it or not, they will say I can do it, and then they will figure it out.
Say, don't worry. Don't worry. We go run.
I got it.
We can do
I'll
it.
figure it out. Yeah.
I mean, that's fair enough. There's another story I actually want us to chat about. But before we go that, you mentioned OGs. Who would you call like an OG in the music space that you feel has really laid the foundation? Maybe are not benefiting as much today, but were really instrumental in how the culture has been spread. Because I low-key believe that right now, world culture is very much side by side with Nigerian culture. I feel like a lot of Nigerian contemporary culture is world culture, like it or not. I mean, people will argue with me, but whatever cultural conversations are happening online, somebody's going to drag Nigeria into it, good, bad, or ugly.
That's true.
And I think that shows the kind of impact we have on a global scale.
Yeah. Even the fact that people want to come here, like the fact that you have general conversations and they're like, "Oh, I want to come vacation," and you that you're here, you're like, "Where are you?"
You see know the you don't use
where is the
vacation
vacation?
here.
Where are you going to vacation? In?
We used to dirty December.
Do you understand?
And
That's pretty much it. But like,
yeah,
But you're right.
OGs. Who would they
I
be?
think so. This is an interesting one because, I mean, they're the clear ones, right? The LD, the Dons, the Bankies, the Banjis, Tubaba, like they're real OGs. But even if you look at it from the executive perspective, right, the people, the managers that actually helped these guys,
Talk
the
about it.
Ifes, the Obiasikas, the people that were like on the back end. I feel like some of the executives now are even making, a lot of those guys were bootstrappers. Audi's benefiting because the record label is still current.
Yes.
But from the artist perspective, I feel like you can't talk about Nigerian music and not talk about LD or Olu Maintain or like, do you know those guys that were really sort of like, when we had the rule that we needed to position more Nigerian music on radio, those guys that were providing the content at that time. And then streaming wasn't there.
No, so
they were in an Alaba kind of system.
They were literally slinging, like selling CD per CD.
And even if they have the music now on streaming platforms, the marketing around that is not like the most current thing. Like we don't really have a system that recycles or revisits back catalog. You know how like people do like compilation projects and stuff like that? I mean, it's stuff that
Why
Chocolate City
don't
we're
we?
really trying to do. We try to do it with playlists and stuff like that. But I don't know if you remember, there was a time they would do Now 14. Now,
The
and
Now
they would do
CDs.
Now series.
And that, I remember those.
Or even when you think about like the concerts that are happening, the Boys Mind Tour, like those things. That is a systematic process within the industry that allows for older generation people to go into Bruce Springsteen. Those guys are still on tour.
Do you know who's sort of doing something similar? I think we in small pockets, but it's not a full ecosystem, not a full system here yet. And that's kind of what we're seeing across our music. I feel like Cecil with Rhythm, not just the Rhythm Unplugged, but they have now that it's not I want to call it golden oldies, and I know people like there are these little things now that are coming up bit by bit, but we don't do we have a touring circuit in Nigeria?
That's what I'm talking about, because so I feel the people that do it are the ones that go to Owan Bears. Think about the Sonia days. Think about the Ubeys.
Okay.
Like, it's not touring, but it might as well be, right? Because they have the places where they are performing, and it's part of like daily life that people just book them, and they have their band and they can do like something amazing.
Okay.
But like, it's not as developed as the West, where you have the Bruce Springsteens that are doing like XYZ number of states. And so that ecosystem supporting the OGs.
Listen, I saw
it's
TLC
like, how do we do
perform,
that?
and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, it's
the one
like,
I'm so sad
it's
about
T-Boz in Chile. And then I saw like Shaggy in the same circle. I was like, oh my God, you know, that was pretty cool actually.
I think unless you're trying to do a comeback like the Banj, you know,
you don't really have that.
I think that's tough.
Yeah. Do you know what's also crazy in this conversation we've had of OGs? We've not mentioned one woman.
This is true. This is true.
Culturally, this is the reality in Nigeria.
This is true.
Where it's just like this is
true.
So the question I have when I notice the absence of women in certain spaces or certain conversations is it that the women are not good enough, did not make enough impact? Is there something in the culture that just doesn't recognize females as strongly as the men? They just need to work harder. Like I'm so curious.
I would talk about my experience. Like even at Chocolate City, we had like Victoria Kimani, for example, and I remember that even now we have Candy Blakes, right? So we have women, but I think the challenge, especially in a system that was focused heavily on bootstrapping, you were always conscious of the cost, right? It's like an ROI type of thing.
Okay, so what was the cost
to maintain a woman? Even though the long term, you're seeing the value chain of having a woman. Like there's the makeup line. There's so many things that you can do from a product extension perspective with a woman. But when we didn't have money, you're thinking about the input of costs. Hair,
but
styling.
Aibee, I've sat down here. This is my podcast. I know there are people that are looking at me and we're like, Folu, you did not do makeup to come and do this podcast. You don't really do hair. This hair is from Artex hosting that I did. Like, why do we have to preen so much? Why?
Because
like,
that's
why?
the industry.
Like, for real?
I always say that I'm not here to, like, there are certain things that I would argue and fight. There are certain things that are age old and before me that I don't even have the capacity to. Like, I'm not going to put Victoria Kimani in front of a music video with no makeup.
It's just not going to work.
Like, why? It just, you know what I mean?
It's
like,
just not.
It's just, and even though they were, to be fair, like, even Price, Ruby, like, they tried to take on a lot of these costs by themselves, but it's just, I feel like, you know, and again, yes, the label should have invested in that capacity, but I just feel like even being in the system, there was always that, like, the cost to, like, whatever ratio in terms of like
the cost
earnings,
to
return ratio was something that we always try to balance, that we always try to figure out.
Because I remember when Banga came out that year, it's like that one nation shirt he used to wear to perform up and down the place. You see the Banga, that same shirt. Tongolo, it's the same shirt. No, but it's people did not really complain that year. Do you say wow, Banga? I look, it's bro. You know you might big bro, homie. Don't be angry. But I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like it's a hard world for women.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, there's a lot of expectation that comes with even honestly, I always say that people don't listen to music just because it's a great song. Like there's a lot of emotion attached to why you're listening to this person, and if there's a part of you in your brain that just feels like this person is not appealing, it affects the way you receive the music, in my opinion. And so there's just constructs, social constructs of what is, and I just think that for women it's a higher standard than the men.
Yeah.
The men can dress up their beauty, they can, the way they look and the way they appear, but for women it's harder. You can't, it's very hard for you to get past that appearance into the music,
right?
But I think for men, and people might kill me for this, but for men I just think that it's not as strict. There are other metrics that
everything has been conditioned already to accept
there are other
that.
metrics that we use to assess whether he's appealing or not. But for women, it's mostly the way they look.
Yeah. And
I personally think it affects the way you appreciate the music or you follow that artist's brand over a long period of time.
That's true, because when Tiwa Savage came on board, came into the Nigerian music scene, like I remember that feeling of like, whoa, oh my God, she was, it was the hotness, it was the sensual nature, it was everything that was really present.
Even for Yemi Alade, and to be fair, she's somebody that's had a very consistent career, but I think she had to pivot to Africa as opposed to Nigeria for it to work. Yeah. She had to look beyond like, I'm just catering to Nigeria. And she's really maintained a very strong touring circuit.
A touring circuit. That's somebody I really want to chat with. I think it's very interesting. So since we're talking sort of culture, entertainment, I'm going to shift a little bit away from music. I'm going to talk about art, not just because I've become like a bit of an art person just by association with Artex Lagos. Nobody saying that me be the artist, but I really love being exposed to like all this culture and art, and I see what it does for even like my spirit. I feel enriched when I'm exposed to all the different ways that people express. And in that expression, I see reflections of myself. I see reflections of my history. I'm learning more. I'm understanding more about history and potentially where we could go in the future. But in terms of art, something really, is it scary? Is it sad? Is it horrifying? Has happened recently in the art world, where the Museum of West African Art, which is in Benin, in Edo, has recently come under a lot of controversy. So the museum had guests around recently. I think it just opened not too long ago. They were trying to do a preview collection. They were in some of the discussions with, I think, the British Museum to return some of the stolen Benin artifacts. Now, I wasn't necessarily agreed that it would go there, but this is one of the museums that's sort of talking about it to say exactly. And then you had protests that hit the museum to say, oh, you can't come here, you can't set this up, you haven't set up this museum to represent the Benin people, the Edo people. That was a whole issue. Security issues, and obviously this is while we have guests from all over the world, all over Nigeria visiting. And then now I see that the Edo state government has ordered the revocation of the right of occupancy that was earlier granted for the museum, by the previous governor. So we find out that the governor, Senator Monday Okwebolo, in a statement personally signed by him, made public on Monday in Benin City, said that the decision to revoke that right of occupancy was carried out in, and I quote, the overriding public interest. And then it goes on to say that I know that there were supposed to be some allegations that MOA had misrepresented themselves as the Museum for Benin, right? And MOA did go on to say, no, that's not right. We never did that. We never said that we were going to be holding the Benin bronzes. We have a deep commitment to preserving cultural work, but for all of West Africa, etc., etc. And I just thought, this is so sad.
Yeah. And I see why you connected it to, do we as people want more?
Do we want better for ourselves? Are we the weapon fashioned against ourselves?
So I think awareness,
when you say awareness, what do you mean?
It's very difficult to appreciate art if you don't understand art, or if you know, like, again, people are trying to just survive. Like, I appreciating art is a luxury for certain people.
Okay.
Like, it's very hard for people to see past. And we are a gullible people. I'll be honest with you. There are things that just go around on WhatsApp and everybody's just like, I believe it. It's very easy for you to put seeds of distrust or doubt and things like that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's a lot of culture around entertainment and art that isn't necessarily maybe the way it's presented from the Western fashion we don't understand. So I'll give you I'll go back to music, which is always like my base.
Of course.
Like festival culture is the thing.
Yes.
There's a culture around like holding festivals.
Yes.
And if you understand it, then you know that it's a completely different framework from like going to a concert in Eco Hotel.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Okay.
But somebody that doesn't understand or hasn't experienced that does not understand the importance of it or does not understand the need for the differentiation for it. And so that's pretty much what it is. If you just see, if we don't talk about it, we don't encourage it, we don't, when we talk about it, we don't have this natural, like even growing up, we don't, what's the word? Glorify it.
Okay, Aibee, I hear you, but
you're not going to appreciate it like that.
I beg to differ in a certain, so two things I'm going to say. One, I don't know why, and I have the same misconception, and that's why I'm going to say I don't really understand why, as Africans and as Nigerians, we think that art is a privileged thing that is removed from us, when in everything that we do, we express art.
The appreciation for it.
But are we not going to play some musicals and singing songs, and it's all part of the art?
No, I understand, but that's something that we've grown up with. We grew up,
so we just don't appreciate it.
I feel like that's why I was trying to,
even with the carvings, with everything.
That's why I was trying to. It's interesting. The first time that I went to a museum was not in Nigeria.
Same.
And my appreciation for art has expanded over the years with my continued experience of it.
Okay.
And I'm saying that we've not refined our art palette.
Okay, so let me accept that.
But because by the time you're going to museum and all of that stuff,
then,
people are first of all going to be saying, where is this land?
Yeah, but we understand market. Mm-hmm. Don't we understand market? Market is, you have built this thing. People are coming and they are paying to come. Money is coming into our geography at the moment, into this state.
That's why I said it depends on the communication and how people, because there are some people that, I don't know what the situation is, so I can't speak for this, but I imagine that the same way some people want this thing to come,
yes,
depending on the location, depending on the interest,
yes,
there are some people that do not want it.
I did hear that the location used to be a hospital that was demolished for this museum to be built, so now they're going to demolish the museum to build a hospital.
Well, at least people
you can't make it up.
At least people are going to make money from the building and they break it down. So the point I'm just trying to make is like, I find that these things are a bit complicated, and some of these things are luxuries to some people. Like hospital versus museum, there's some people that are going to be like, I want the hospital. What am I going to do or make?
Which money is going to go into the hospital?
I don't know where they're getting the money.
And
even sustaining, maybe the museum will. No, the hospital will make money for itself now. The same way the museum will make money for itself to run itself.
The hospital is not a tourist attraction.
I understand what you're saying, but that's even a bigger conversation around it. Is anybody really going to be named? What are the safety measures? All of those things and all of those things.
And this is not helping that.
I agree.
When it comes to tourism, one thing I know is that tourist clusters are really the thing.
Yes.
The biggest drive for any tourist economy is not foreigners, it is your neighbors. So it is neighboring states. Now, we had already mentioned that Nigerians generally, we have a trust deficit in general. Absolutely. Right? As a local, already I did think Benin, because when you hear, somebody will tell you this story, and traveling within Nigeria is always something it makes the average Nigerian a little bit cautious. You're like, okay, what am I going there? And then you said, they're even attacking the ones from outside.
I understand what you're
saying.
Will
you go? Will you go?
You probably wouldn't go.
Will you go?
Nobody will go. Yeah, but there's a narrative that's clearly going around that made people not want this. But I think that obviously for me, because I've experienced art, I'm thinking, oh, that's great, right? Because I'm like, oh, look at what Artex did.
Yeah.
Artex brought people from everywhere. It was something for locals to do and another activity for them to do where they could enjoy the art and appreciate each other and talk about the history and see what their fellow Nigerians are doing and all of that stuff. And it was also a way for them to meet international people that are also sharing these interests. Now, it depends, like I said, on what everyone in the economy and the community, what is their key focus? Like, the reality is, like, in Lagos, there are some luxuries.
Okay.
Not to say that it does not exist in Benin. So I'm not knocking down Benin to say that Benin is not
don't
developed.
Don't be offended.
I'm just saying that in terms of priorities, even as personal human beings, when you're thinking of priority of interests and the things that you're going to face next, it starts first from your basic needs and then you kind of afford other luxuries. Okay. And I think that maybe if I'm looking at it from hospital, museum, I don't know. I'm not sure what so a lot of, I think it's a bit more complicated. Okay. For us that we appreciate everything, it's amazing. That's great for sure. Oh my God, if London is going to return the Benin bronzes, let's say that's happening. That's a cultural moment. That's history.
No.
You know?
I don't know.
Now we don't, even if the conversation was going to happen, we don't know if that's going to happen, right?
I know about that return,
I'm just saying.
Where are they going to return it to?
I'm just saying that even if they were going to, at least having the museum where it's going to go to would have been a great.
Would be great.
Would have been a great argument to me.
Anyways, just sort of on that note, I also wonder, like, just sort of talking to you, and since I have you here, like, when was the first time you really thought that, oh wow, culture and maybe even music is really moving the needle for us globally? Like, what was there, like, can you remember the first time or maybe an event or traveling where you're like, whoa, like, this isn't just big, like, this could really change some stuff for us?
I want to say that I vaguely remember, and this is even before I joined Chocolate City. I think it was Ben TV. Was there something called Ben TV in London or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw an MI video or something. Maybe it was NATO or something in London. And I was just like, oh, the music has kind of changed in Nigeria, right? So that was one moment that kind of... and then another moment, maybe I can speak to... Another moment would be Oleku.
Yeah,
because that was a very big platform. Yeah. I remember growing up watching BET, so it was just like, oh wow, this is a moment. Another one was me watching Kanye West giving the chain to the band at the O2.
That was goosebumpy.
Those are moments that you're just like, it's resonating. Something is resonating, and those were like the early, from my own personal experience. Yeah.
So, like, if you had to put like a price tag on the feeling that our music sort of gives people, like the joy, the confidence, the swag, what would be the wildest, most absurd price tag you could put on that?
You just said wildest and most absurd.
Yeah. As a Nigerian.
That's why we put in trillions. You know, like, at the end of the day, you can't really quantify a feeling. You know what I mean? Like, but to be fair, now I'm feeling like people are just like, okay, it's a fad.
Yeah. Do you think so?
I think.
Do you think it's a fad?
You know, I've not made a decision on that.
Okay.
I think that for anything to last, there has to be a strategy. And I don't know how much we're working on strategy as a nation. If we keep looking at it as just a music problem or a music solution, it's the same way K-pop became popular because of strategy.
Right.
Afrobeats became popular because it just happened. It wasn't strategic.
So if you had to put a room together of anywhere between 5 and 7 strategists to come up with a strategy for how our culture is going to keep not just not just growing globally, but to make sure that it finances us as a people, not just the people making the music, but that it feeds back into the ecosystem. What would that strategy team look like? Who would some of those people be?
Definitely a policy maker.
Okay.
We need somebody that like understands policies and how they impact the economy. You obviously need the creative in the room to tell you how it works and all of that stuff.
Okay.
I would also put somebody in like finance. Okay. And I don't know, I guess somebody in finance, because it needs to be almost like a private public partnership. You see what I mean? So it needs to be somebody that understands policy, the economy, development, and all of that. Okay. You also want to get somebody that is versed in like culture. There's something that I was speaking to somebody that worked in like, I think it was, you know, France. They always have all these organizations that help with like culture and development, stuff like that. Yeah. And they study how music and arts help the people. Yes. I don't know what that is. Yeah. Whatever that is, that needs to be there. And then we need somebody that understands and can forecast from an IP perspective and the creative. Okay. So I feel like those people, the legal is probably under the policy. Yeah. Because that's the framework.
The framework. Okay.
And then we need to build like, okay, what is the 5-year plan? How do we leverage what we have from the public sector and the private sector to be able to create a roadmap for people that sets an industry in place, attractive enough for international people to come in, but that doesn't erode us of the rights. Because what's happening is that people are coming in, the lack of education is problematic, and so they're picking up rights for very little money. People don't understand the value of what these rights could possibly be. So how do we, when we create this framework, how do we now present it to people in bite sizes so that they understand, and we're able to maybe identify key companies that we want to invest in as the front leaders or drivers of these, almost like to sense check the efficacy of the policy that we
and how it's panning out.
And how it's panning out, and then use them as the prototype. Okay. For
thank you.
Yeah.
And just before I let you go, my last question would be, knowing all that you know now, if you could give advice to people coming into the industry, especially women coming into the industry, what would that one really important piece of advice be to make sure, again, that we are working in a sustainable, growth-focused way?
You have to understand your craft.
Okay.
I feel like the most important thing is bringing value. You have to. Why are you in the room? Yeah. Understand your why. Why are you in?
Why
the
are
room?
You here?
And then when you understand that, then you work to be of value in the room. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's something that everyone, even from an entertainment perspective, is like, we're always looking for skilled people that kind of know the work. Yeah. And even if you want to empower them and support them, they have to understand why they're doing it, and then they have to be willing to take on the help that you're giving. Because it's one thing to say that this is available to you, it's another thing for people to access it. Yeah. So I would say that understand the industry that you want to get into, study it, and then bring value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aibee, thank you so much. I really do wish we had more time, but like, we're kind of out of time for today. But thank you for joining me. I do appreciate that. Big shout out to Creative Entertainment Practice, because that's where we're kind of recording this space at CC Hub, which is nice. And shout out to Canon also, I guess, because they kind of gave me cameras to film with. So that's nice. But Aibee, thank you so much. It's been great having you.
Thank you.
All right. I feel like I need to move this mic closer to you. Just pull that a little bit closer. Let's make sure, just from the neck.
Oh,
right there.
Okay.
Pull it.
There we go. Okay.
So I'm listening to you
fair.
well. Yeah, that's what I like.